Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of The Next Step. Today we have with us a very special guest, Yashvi Thakkar. She's a graduate of VIT Vellore CSE branch batch of 2020 and is an incoming student at Carnegie Mellon University. She's pursuing a master's in Information Systems Management, Business Intelligence and Data Analytics. So good to have you, Yashvi. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. How are you?
Good. I'm good. So how have you been keeping yourself busy during the lockdown?
Well, a lot of reading and binge watching, like after the entire tedious process, finally getting time to, catch up on missed shows.
That's nice.
Yeah.
So we'll get right into the questions. So
Mhm.
my first question is: you've done a lot of internships. You've done internships in fields like iOS development, AI, ML, and all. So and you're pursuing a master's in information systems management. So it's pretty different. So what made you decide to switch and pursue masters in this field?
Well, when I was interning as an iOS developer at one of the firms at my hometown, there was another team which was working on fetching the data from the app which I was working on and developing a model which would help in making decisions about advertisement and help small vendors make their business decisions. So through a lot of interactions with them, I was pretty fascinated that the app which I am making, like a single click, was having a huge impact from behind, which we're not really aware of. And that's when I started exploring that domain. I took up various electives related to AI/ML at VIT and took up further internships also in those domains. And that's when I realized that, yeah, this is something which I really want to pursue. And business analytics, being a mixture of technology, data, and business, seems like the best fit for me.
Okay, so staying on the topic of internships, when you apply for internships, obviously when you're in the first year, not you're doing it for experience and all. But when you do decide to, when you decide you want to go outside for masters, so what's your goal in mind when you're applying that time? So is it like experience, or is it something that you'd like to? Is it something that's good to have in your application?
Well, when I look for internships, I tend to focus on my profile, like whatever work that I would be doing, and how that is in sync with my interests or what I really want to step in future in. So that's one thing which I look at, and second thing which I look at is the learning curve it is attached to it. Like internships are usually for very short duration, so one would want to grasp as much skills as you can and learn from the people around you, which can help you when you uh, take a step in the job market.
Right.
So that's what really I try to focus on. And the firms, big or small, do not really matter as long as it justifies your interests and has a learning curve attached to it.
Okay. So, staying on college applications, do extracurricular activities matter for foreign students? And if they do, what kind of activities did you do?
Definitely, extracurricular activities have a very important role to play in one's profile, because when universities look at an applicant's profile, what they are really trying to see is a well rounded individual, someone who has a balance between their academics and extracurricular activities. So I would definitely, suggest that one should try out whatever they are interested in, be it sports, music, art, or debating, or any such thing. And because these activities at the end of the day help one in developing their communication skills, making them a better leader, help you in making a team player, which are really needed in any job or any degree that you pursue.
Right.
So I, like, during my time at VIT, I served as a publicity and marketing head for TAG and Venture City VIT. Apart from that, I had also volunteered as the program coordinator for primary education at one of the NGOs, GGB. And I was also part of ISEC for a short time. And yeah, that's about it. I did volunteer for a short duration for one of the NGOs back in my hometown as well. So, I mean, this was something that I was interested in, marketing, so I tried that. And volunteer work, I taught kids. That's what I volunteered for. So, one should definitely try balancing out their extracurricular activities with their academics.
Okay, so my next question is, foreign applications seem very daunting to the people looking from the outside, and I'm sure from the inside also. So can you tell us like what the whole process is, right from you giving the various exams like IELTS, TOEFL, GRE, whatever, to getting accepted? So what is the whole timeline? What is the whole process? What goes on?
Okay, so firstly, it starts with you deciding what degree you want to pursue. And once that's done, you need to start looking for the requirements of universities because they vary from different universities. Like a few of them would require IELTS and not TOEFL. For few, GRE might be optional, or they might prefer GMAT over GRE. There are a lot of analytics courses which require or prefer GMAT and not GRE due to the quants weighted. So try figuring that out first. And once you know what's required, start your prep for the competitive exams. And simultaneously, once you're done with your exams, you know where you lie. So according to that region, you need to, have three different categories of universities bifurcated. Let's say safe school, aspirational, and your dream schools. I would suggest about three in each bucket is a good number to go ahead with. And after that, one must also draft one pertinent SOP, like a draft, so that you can refer to it while you're applying to different universities because each have different word limits and different
Right.
questions. It's not always the same. And it won't be overwhelming, once you have a draft ready and when you have like a lot many deadlines to meet in that short time. So it'll look tailor made for each university, yet you'll get a nice idea to start and not think from scratch. Also, most universities require video essays, so you might have to record those as well. And they're pretty basic, introductory, and why you want to pursue this degree. A few might have it as optional, but I would definitely recommend to go ahead because it's just adding to your profile. So
Right.
there's no harm in not giving. And apart from that, well, yeah, after the application process is done, yeah, there's one more thing. There might be certain universities that require you to convert your CGPA from scale of 10 to 4. So you might have to like note that down and see what credential evaluation services they prefer. And they usually take a lot of time. So try noting that down and ensure that you don't miss out onto it because almost like 15-20 days is taken in generating it. Yeah. Yeah, well, that's about it. Once you're done, you just have to wait and have your fingers crossed.
Wait for that email. Okay, so my next question is on this topic only. How did you prepare for exams like GRE, GMAT, and all that? Any tips?
Well, I took up Magush's courses like on campus and I solved its portal also. Apart from that, I also solved the Manhattan Preps guide. And that's one free portal, GRE Prep Club, which is pretty good. Like I refer to that as well. So these are the few resources which I tried to, build my concepts. And I tried timing my practice as well because, that clock ticking adds pressure in the exam. So that's what we really need to work on. And as I know that GRE is, usually people are scared of vocabulary in it, like most Indian applicants, even I was. So I use this Magush's vocab builder app, which is pretty amazing. And what I used to do is I used to write few words down, which I felt were tricky for me. and I used to like write sentences, like make them on my own so that it becomes easier for me to remember. And some words I used to have them on sticky notes around me. So visual memory kind of helped me out a lot. So one needs to actually figure out what method really works, because there are flashcards available. There are list of words which one might want to refer every day and then have quizzes with their friends around, or something like that. So just decide on to what works and stick to it. And giving mock tests is really important. I had bought Manhattan Preps test, and I also bought a few official GRE tests from ETS website. Manhattan Prep is like closest to actual GRE, so I would definitely recommend anybody to give those, and not like apart from giving various other free tests which are available online. And after you give each test, what I did was I maintained an error log. So I used to write down all my mistakes, and before each mock test, I used to like go through those so that I don't repeat them.
Right.
And that was very helpful for me. And I actually went through those before my actual GRE as well, and that was good. Like it's like you're not supposed to do this. Like remember, and so I would suggest people to try that out if that works.
Okay, so coming to the CGPA part of the application, how important is it? We know it's important, but what is sort of a safe place to be at, and what is sort of a like just their place to be at?
To be honest, there's no such thing like a safe and just safe place when it comes to CGPA. Like from my personal experience, what they are trying to see is an increasing graph. Like they don't want you at the same place. They don't want
Okay.
9 to be a linear curve. Even if it's not 9, it's fine as long as it's increasing and they're trying to see your efforts in improving your academics. Because I was not a 9 pointer until my third year, like towards the end. So my if I actually try analyzing my CGPA graph, it has decreased a bit and then it has increased and then, so my graph is not linear or not like just 9 or near 9 always. So I would not want anybody to take pressure in getting that perfect 9. Anything above 8 or around 8 or even 7.5ish is completely fine, as long as you're trying to show that how you're trying to improve it and how you're trying to work on your downs. So it's the graph that matters more and not the number.
Okay, so what sort of career options do you have once you graduate from this field?
As I said, business analytics is like a mixture of technology, business, data. So, all doors are open for me. And I can experiment with the electives that I take at my university to probably step into the roles of data scientist or data analyst, or, pursue consultancy jobs or product manager. So it depends on how actually I shape my profile. And so you have a varied options with this.
Right.
It all related to data and business. So it's a good boat to be in, I believe.
Okay, so do you have any preferences or something in your mind right now, or you'll decide when the time
No,
comes?
I actually do. I would like to pursue the business intelligence part. So I would like to, be in the as business intelligence engineer or business analyst or something like that. Yeah.
Okay. So I wanted to know why you've chosen CMU especially, because you've been accepted into a lot of other good universities, great universities, in fact. So why CMU?
As I said, business analytics, the curriculum varies from different universities. So, at some universities like Duke, the NQN program, it focused more on business aspect and not technological aspect. Same thing with Columbia. I mean, we were open with electives, but more towards business side, or you know, while Carnegie Mellon had a technological inclination, which I wanted, and the curriculum aligned with my career goals the most. So this seemed to be the best fit working out for my dreams and my goals.
Right. So it's you have to decide between the university and the subjects and the course basically. So it's a decision
Yeah,
you have
like
to
what?
take.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so that's all for the questions today. What would you like to leave the juniors who are watching this? What would you like to leave them with?
Well, this entire application process might be overwhelming at times, and I know it takes like a lot of months, and you have to wait for the results for a lot of months. But to be honest, once you actually have that admit, trust me, you would that would be the best day, and you would realize that all that hard work is in place. So do not be disheartened with whatever comes, because there's something better that's waiting for you, and just keep working. And do not try to compare yourself with other applicants, that I'm missing this, I'm missing that, because there's nothing like that. You just have to tell your story and how or what steps you have taken to reach here, and leave rest on the universities to decide, like, because it seems impossible until you do it, so just do not underestimate yourself. That's about it.
Thank you so much, Ashley, for talking to us. And
Thank
good luck. Good luck for
Thank
your
you. Talk to you too. Bye.
bye. Adios.